All right, welcome everybody to BigGunner81 Live. Thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be talking with Barry of Bat Arms. So hey Barry, how's it going?
I'm doing great, Rick. How's yourself?
Not too bad.
Good.
So yeah, thanks for being on the show today. We're going
Thanks
to
for
talk
having
about
me.
yeah, no problem. We'll talk about a few different things. So you're new FFL.
I am.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So it's been a long-term dream of mine. So I've been actually competitive shooter from the dating myself mid '80s on in
Cool.
various aspects, and always been a gun enthusiast. Actually have roots in the law enforcement area and third generation. So it's just kind of come second nature to me. Um, Always wanted to do it and talked about it for a number of years. And a few years ago, decided to give it a go and learned that some people say it's impossible, other people say it's not that bad, and I'll just offer it's somewhere in between. Um, my biggest hurdle was that I was looking to establish this in Cook County, which you can pretty much forget these days.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it, you know, Little to non-existent chances of doing this in Cook County. So I had an opportunity to find a commercial space out in Plano, where we're at now. So for right now, we're doing pretty much hours by appointment, and I'm in the process of actually developing a small storefront where we'll have showcases with products that you can come in and take a look at and purchase, or, whatever you want.
Yeah, very cool. So I'll show them real quick in your new website, which we just found out today was just actually just launched like literally right before the show apparently.
So yeah, I mean I knew it was coming, right? But I didn't realize that it was actually up. But so yeah, so this is the debut. It needs a lot of work and tweaking and things that I need to do. But absolutely, it's up. www.batarms.com.
Yeah,
Check it
cool.
out.
So yeah, so that's kind of like what you see right now on the first page. I think they're able to see this anyway, so hopefully they will. But go ahead and show it right here. So yeah, I got Daniel Defense on here, a whole bunch of other cool stuff to look at, check out, and buy. So that's really neat. I know it's going to improve even more because it's a work in progress, but looks really nice. Good job. Cool.
Thanks. We're getting
So
there.
yeah, so that was that one, and then so I know you mentioned about the competition thing too, and of course this past weekend at Aurora Sportsman's Club we shot three gun together actually.
We did. It was a great weekend. A little
Yeah.
hot.
Oh yeah, I know the heat was the biggest thing. I mean, luckily we had Scott running around, who's like filling in like an EMT, firefighter that keeping us hydrated, tell us to drink
Yep.
our water and everything, and bring around ice. So that was good. That helped out a lot. I know I got some sunburn, but it happens. So yeah, that was a good event overall. So, want to tell us a little bit about that too? Your experience with it?
Sure. No, it's so not my first. I've been doing three gun for a couple of years now. I'm not by far one of the experts like some of the guys, but it just I really enjoy it. I mean, how often can you get out in three different shooting disciplines actually in those type of stages where you're moving around and doing things and interacting between pistol and rifle and shotgun. So I love it. I mean, other than my little mishap, which you know about with my shotgun, but
Yeah,
this too shall pass. Other than that, it was a great day.
yeah. I'll show a little clip off of it too because I have. I mean, from like my video that I took. I don't know if you had a camera going or not.
I did
Um,
not.
I know it's a lot of guys are doing it now. So, yeah, I'll pull it up here. It just takes a second to get it rolling, but I'll do a screen share so you guys can kind of see a little bit of this. So it'll just start. We could talk over it too, since they probably can't
Sure.
hear the audio. I don't think because there's an issue with that for a reason. It won't play, and it's going to play a little choppy and everything. But um, we had the guys from Got Ammo LLC actually sponsored it. It's going to turn the volume down on my end so I don't have to hear it because as I'm talking over it. But anyhow, yeah, we had the guys from Got Ammo LLC actually sponsored it. And I only got a couple of the stages recorded, like stage one here. And I had some mishaps too, so don't feel bad about the shotgun issues you had. You can see on this video it's kind of choppy, but I ended up dropping my mag going for the reload here. So it happens. And then later on, speaking of shotguns, as you know, I had an issue with my magazine with my MK1919, which I really love that shotgun. It's great. I had Tooth and Nail Armory build that for me. If you guys out there haven't seen the video, go ahead and check it out. You can just do a little search for BigGunner81 MK1919, and you'll find Tooth and Nail Armory and stuff like that with it. But anyway, yeah, it ran great. Just that what I pretty much found was if I fully load that magazine down, the follower will sometimes stick at the bottom of the mag. So I got to do a little work on the magazine. But other than that, it ran flawlessly. It was the only issue I had versus the first time I had it out. So the first 3-gunner match we had this year, which was I think May.
Mm-hmm.
During that match, I had a few different jams and stuff, but I only ran a little bit of ammo through the thing before taking it out to the match, so it really wasn't broken in yet. So I wasn't going to really fault the shotgun yet at that point. But yeah, it's kind of ironic, like I was telling you earlier. I've heard people talking about the magazine-fed shotguns being an issue, and having like jams and all that kind of stuff. But I know you had an issue with your FN, and then the Remington 870.
Yeah,
which is like the Remington 870, like I was saying earlier. That's like go-to like defensive gun. It's used by law enforcement and everybody. It's supposed to be like the gun that can take like shotgun that can take like all the abuse and everything and still work. And one of our guys had an issue with it wanting to chamber around. So it happens. But yeah, so anyhow, otherwise I had a lot of fun. That was a great event. I enjoyed it. And thank you again too for the sponsorship with the club, donating some of the magazine holders.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I forget who. You could tell them who makes that because I can't remember off the top of my head. So
it's a company by the name of Mag Storage Solutions, and they're not up on my website yet, but they will be. It's a plastic holder that you can wall mount. You could put it on a shelf inside your safe, or they also have magnets available for them to put on the side of your safe, and it'll hold 6 PMags. And I also just found out they're coming out with a pistol version. So I think that'll be kind of cool, where you can have your PMags lined up and then do your pistol mags.
Oh, that is cool.
They also make an in-vehicle mount. It's ruggedized. It's steel versus polycarbonate. Those are polycarbonate, but they make a steel version with a web strapping to strap the mags in for in-vehicle mount for tactical vehicles, SWAT vehicles, things like that. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I've actually got a couple of police departments that are buying those. They're buying the vehicle mount ones. So
very
yeah,
cool.
they're a neat product.
And by the way, too, for anyone who's watching, if you guys have any questions or comments you want to throw out there while we're doing our show, feel free to go to my Facebook, BigGunner81, and leave a message or comment there, and we'll see if we can discuss it while we're doing the show. So yeah, I think those are pretty cool, those Mag Storage Solutions setups. And especially what you just said about the magazine, the pistol magazine and the AR magazine, like having them, staggered or whatever. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, the pistols will fit in that, but they're really not designed for that. But yeah, having both it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, that's cool. So one other thing we were going to talk about too was, since we're both in Illinois, obviously, we had mentioned about SBRs, how to get an SBR, because many people out there don't know that in Illinois you can actually own an SBR, but there are some hoops to jump through to make that happen.
There is, and every once in a while when I take my SBR out to the club, I get some sideways looks, like I actually had one guy come up to me one time and said, you really shouldn't have that here.
Yeah, that's illegal. You're gonna get in trouble, buddy.
Yeah, and so number one, and we'll get into the how, but obviously if you do possess an SBR, keep a copy of your tax stamp with you. I've got a copy in every one of my range bags, so I'm covered to show that it's legal.
Right, that makes sense.
So the first prerequisite for Illinois, there's 2 exceptions to the statute in Illinois for possession of an SBR. The first and the one that's been on the books for a while is if you're a member of a reenactment group, and there are certain stipulations. You have to be active membership. You have to have credentials within that group. So that will allow you to possess an SBR. but overall length has to be 26 inches or more, regardless of barrel length. The other new exemption in the statute as of 2013 is anyone that has basically a curio and relic license, or also known as a Type 03 license through ATF, can also possess an SBR. So that's kind of the easy part. You can go online, just Google CNR application. You'll get an actual fileable form that you can fill out.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly, but it's like really inexpensive to do that, isn't it? For the
it is. It's like $30.
Right, and it's good for how many years? Do you know?
It's either I have to look. It's either 3 or 5. I don't recall which it is.
I had thought it was 3, but you'd have to just check because laws and rules always change anyway too. So if someone watches this in the future, it might be a different story then too.
It may be because my 01, so my dealer license is 3, so it's probably 3 as well, I would guess.
Okay. And that license in itself too, in addition to being able to get down the path of getting an SBR, also allows you to get access to other firearms that you can have shipped even to your house.
Correct. So, absolutely. So anything that is considered classified as an antique, basically anything over 50 years old, and there's actually a publication that lists all the different series of firearms that are considered curio and relics. So anything in that you could have shipped direct to your house. So say you wanted a Mosin Nagant, that is what's called CNR eligible. Or maybe a gun broker, you'll see CNR eligible. That means they can ship that directly to your house. It doesn't have to go through a dealer, through a transfer. So with CNR, you still have to maintain records. You have to keep a logbook of acquisition and when you get it, and disposition if you sell that, transfer that to somebody else. But yeah, no, it can come right to you.
Yeah, it's basically like being a dealer, but you're not a dealer. You're a collector, and you went through background checks, like really stringent background checks to make that possible.
Right.
So it's just about the same as being a dealer in sense of the security factor of it.
It is. The only stipulation is with a CNR, you cannot do it as a business. That is one of their regulations. So
correct.
It's purely for collecting.
Right.
So that's the first step based on Illinois statute. So from there, it's a matter of, do you want to purchase an SBR outright, a SIG or whoever, pre-manufactured, just like you go out and buy your AR or your shotgun or what have you, or do you want to build your own, just like you would build an AR? The majority of people, go ahead.
And speaking of which, building one, you see I have that 20-inch barrel upper in the background there.
I do.
Just to tell you this real quick, because in case they're watching, MGS Firearms, that is waiting for the lower that I'm going to pick up from them at some point in time when I go visit them. I know you may not know this, but background story on that is they said, hey, if you come up here to Wisconsin, we're going to give you a lower for coming out. So of course I may have to have them transfer it through you possibly, unless they want to throw a stock on it and transfer it for me. But anyhow, so I didn't mean to interrupt you with that. I just wanted to throw that out there about building your own SBR.
Sure. So basically what you need to do then is what's called a Form 1. And what the Form 1 is to make a firearm, basically. So with that, what you can do is you can take an existing lower that you have, could be a stripped lower, could be a built lower, whatever the case may be, and register that on the Form 1. So you would need to complete the Form 1. The manufacturer, for purposes of the Form 1, the serial number, everything is as it's stamped on the lower receiver, again, assuming AR platform. And then from there, and this is where the difficult portion comes in, where people struggle, from there you need to go to your local chief law enforcement officer to get a signature that he is basically signing off that he has no reason to believe you shouldn't be able to possess one. And that officer can be if you're in a city, your city police chief. It can be your county police chief. It could be your county state's attorney. There's a whole list of things that people that can sign off. For me, the easiest, most accessible was my local police chief. Took a few attempts, took a little bit of persuading and a lot of conversation. Because what I found interesting was he wasn't aware that there was a new exemption in the law that I could possess an SBR with a CNR license. So it was
Right. That's
a little shock to him.
yeah, I know that it seems to be one of the biggest hurdles is getting someone to sign off on it, and like you said, persuading them, and then having to explain all this to them. Um, because from my from what I've seen, sometimes officers aren't aware of new laws, like in that case, so
Yeah,
they have to become aware of it, and so they may tell you no at first, but you sometimes it might require some persistence too of actually.
absolutely. And I came across actually during my attempts, I came across a good thread on the Illinois carry forums
Okay.
talking about SBRs and CLEO sign-offs. And what I found out was guys that are having difficulty, the Illinois NRA lobbyist is actually, taking the case on their behalf and going to these different departments and having some success in getting these chiefs to sign Form 1s. So
Yeah, you're
it's
talking about Todd, correct?
absolutely, yeah, Todd's a great
Yes,
guy.
super nice guy. I know. I'm sure you've shot with him before too at
Yeah,
the practical rifle and all that as well. Yeah, he's a good guy.
yeah, so he's taken the case and yeah, I mean it's amazing. Guys will post up on that forum that it was at such and such police department, and they wouldn't even talk to me. And Todd's like, "Hey, I'm on it." And, it might take him a while, but he's making a lot of headway, and he's gotten a lot of chiefs to sign.
Right.
So
So after you get the whole CNR, the signature from your chief law enforcement, and you have, of course, you have to have a lower to start with too if you're building it, unless you're going to buy it.
correct.
Then you have
So
to file it with the ATF, right?
yeah, so that's the easier part. The harder part is the wait. In other states, they have electronic filing that's available. They also have they have other methods that we are not allowed to use in Illinois.
Oh wow,
So,
didn't know
you know,
that.
yeah. So basically, you have to fill out the Form 1. You have to get 2 sets of fingerprint cards, and you ship all that off to ATF with a check for $200. And I want to say my wait was about 7 or 8 months.
Wow.
So yeah, so 6 to 9 is the norm, or is what they're saying. The average is 6 to 9 months. So yeah, it's a long wait. There's a number you can call and check status and things, but it sits in pending for a long time. So one day you just get that envelope in the mail and
So once you get that envelope in the mail, for example, if you're planning on building it, is that the point where you can start putting it together and you're ready to go?
correct. So technically, legally speaking, so here's another example. So I've got a MP5 clone that I want to SBR. It's a pistol right now. It's a Model 89 pistol, and so I have a Form 1 out on that. Until I get that stamp back, I technically can't possess the stock to go onto that rifle
Oh
because of
wow.
the fact that I can physically take and assemble that into a short barrel rifle. So in that particular case, as was the case with my AR was a pistol before I made it into the SBR. So in those cases, I didn't even possess the components to make the full SBR until I had my stamp in hand, just because I didn't want to take a chance. So,
Now I've also heard though. Speaking of that, and by the way, before we get into this part, so once you get that back, if you actually are buying one from a dealer, that's the point where you can go and pick it up, basically.
right. So if you're buying from a dealer, then it's what is called a Form 4. So the difference is a Form 1 is for making the firearm,
Right. For okay.
and Form 4 is just for the transfer. So say you bought an SBR on Gunbroker, and it's in California. I don't know, not like the California, but
Yeah.
out of state,
Right.
Texas. Texas. There you go.
Right.
So that dealer in Texas needs to physically transfer that to a dealer in your state, in Illinois, and they have to be a Class 3 dealer. And then once that dealer has it in their possession, you fill out a Form 4 in conjunction with your local dealer. You fill out a Form 4, which then goes into the ATF, and you've got that same 6 to 9 month waiting period. Once that Form 4 comes back, then that dealer can take and hand that gun over to that SBR over to you.
Cool. So what I was going to get to is my question was, um, in regards to the assembly process. Okay, so you mentioned about not having the components like your stock or whatever there, and so you can't say, okay, you have constructive. I forget what the term is for that, but you can't be said that your intent is that you can construct it because you have the parts all available and all that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, my question was, well, what if you have an AR-15 rifle, for example, and you have an AR-15 pistol, and say you have an extra stock laying around that's for your AR-15 rifle? Now, is that going to be an issue where they want to say, well, you can construct a short barrel rifle, or, for example, you could unpin your lower from your rifle and put that upper on your pistol, and vice versa? Is that going to be a gray area?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the first thing I'll offer is I'm not an attorney, so I can't give legal advice on that.
Sure, well said.
Certainly, yeah, my official disclaimer, right?
Right.
I mean, certainly, if somebody wanted to make a case, they could attempt to do so. Now, would it be successful in court? Who knows? Probably. My guess, probably not. But that's purely a guess. But at the same time, I don't want to spend $50,000 to $100,000 in legal fees to find out.
True. So I was just asking because I've heard it both ways, and of course, again, like you said, it probably comes down to how it's interpreted and how it's viewed and what you're doing at the time and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. I mean, my gut, just based on my law enforcement experiences, it would have to be pretty blatant,
right,
for anybody to take action.
And in other words, most average guy who's going to the range to do shooting and so forth is probably not going to be one that's going to get in trouble for something like that, unless it is very blatantly obvious that they're planning on building something like that or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, so if the guy's disassembling, if he's got a pistol and he's got a full-length AR rifle, and he's disassembling them, and things like that, and in the bag, on the bench at the range, that at the same time, that might be a little
right,
not wise.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. So. Speaking of, so we got the SBR thing covered pretty much and all that, but the other thing is suppressors. We're speaking about how SBRs are now actually legal if you jump through the correct loopholes, and I wouldn't say loopholes. If you follow, that's not a correct term to use. That's a bad choice of words. If you follow the correct, way of going about it and going through the correct paperwork and everything,
right,
and the proper channels is what I was trying to say. You can actually
process.
Process. Because loophole insinuates that you're doing something like wrong or illegal, but it's not. It is a legal process to do. You just have to jump through all the hoops to get there. So next is that suppressors are not legal yet in Illinois. Obviously, that's been a big thing. I'm not sure where the current legislative stuff is let off with that. I thought some of those things were kind of on hold and whatnot, but I know. We mentioned Todd earlier. I know he was really working on that to try to help us get suppressors, legalized in Illinois. And I know he has also come out and I believe he has a manufacturer's license of some type. Not 100% sure, but we had a side match. I couldn't make it, unfortunately, but there was a side match that was held that allowed people to actually try out firearms with suppressors on it recently in Illinois. And it brought up a point of, hey, well, how can you do that in Illinois? They're illegal. Well, the manufacturer of it is there. He's licensed to own these and so forth and all that.
So no, I was there, and that was a lot of fun.
Cool. So you made it, because I wanted to go, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate. I've got friends in other states that have a lot of those fun toys, so I get to play with those from time to time.
Nice.
Envious that I can't bring them home, of course. But so the stipulation in Illinois is if you have a manufacturing license, as well as, so there's two parts to that. It's a two-part double-edged sword, if you will. Number one is you have to have an FFL Type 07, which is for manufacturing, and then in conjunction with that, you would then need a Class 3 SOT, or Special Occupation Tax, which is on top of the FFL license, is a $500 a year tax stamp, basically. And with that, you can be a dealer in basically NFA items. And again, stipulation in Illinois is if you are a manufacturer, you can't possess those. They can't be used for personal use. They can be used, law enforcement sales, demonstration purposes. it's not like you could just say, hey, let's grab my buddies and go out to the range and shoot suppressors or full autos.
Right. It basically just gives them the ability to have the business here and do
Yep.
things that businesses do and manufacture and all that kind of stuff. It's
Right.
not for personal use, like you said. But of course, you do have to go out to the range and test these things out, too.
Right.
So they do get to use them, of course, but it's not really for you to take home and and well, unless your business is out of your house, I suppose. That's a
Sure.
different story. But yeah, so I don't know. I really do. Hopefully, we do get suppressors though. That'd be kind of a nice addition. Although the guys up in north kind of tease me. They go and they say, we've suppressors. Yeah, we have so many suppressors around here, and we shoot with suppressors so often that it gets boring, and we just pretty much take them off eventually. you know. So it is what it is. So one other thing we got to do yet too is the drawing. We haven't done the drawing for the Aries Tactical gift certificate. And by the way, your name is in this box too because you did enter that drawing. So
It's okay. I never win anything, so.
yeah, we'll see who actually wins live here. I'm shaking up the box. You guys, I'll just show you real quick. There's a whole bunch of names inside here. I'll kind of curled up.
Can I grab one? Oh.
Yeah, reach through and grab one. Okay, so I've got one here, and it's actually one that I had to tape up because it got screwed up. But Ronnie Hughes. Okay, so I gotta contact Ronnie Hughes and let him know that he actually won that. That's pretty cool.
Hey, congrats, Ronnie.
Yeah. So yeah, it should be a $25, I believe, gift certificate, if I'm not mistaken, for Aries Tactical. So that's pretty cool. Nice guy
Nice.
out there. Down in just south of Springfield, Missouri, basically is where he's located, and makes a lot of really nice Kydex holsters and mag carriers and all types of accessories and things like that. In fact, I had him make I don't have it here with me right now, but I had you saw it at the 3-gun match, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The holster I was running was my Aries Tactical holster with the 2 layers of Kydex. I love it. It's pretty awesome.
Now, when the one on your Facebook page, that's awesome.
That's what it is. That's the one I was running at the match.
Oh, was that the same one? Okay.
Same one. Yeah. With the two, I have the two mag carriers and
Yep.
the holster. But I actually do.
Stuff.
Yeah, I would like to have him make me a double PMAG carrier as well, but that's on hold right now. But it is on my list of things I want to have made to go along with that. Plus,
okay.
I love the he's using now. Now I'm gonna mess up the name. The Tech Lock. Who makes it? I can't even think of the name of it right now. Basically, a Tech Lock adapter. I don't know why I can't think of who makes it. It just escaped my brain. But yeah, it's a the clip that they use to attach them is way better than like my other holster, for example. That I had some inexpensive holsters from Sig Sauer, like Sig Tac, which are actually made by IMI Defense, I believe.
Okay.
Those have a belt loop adapter. You have to like slide it through your belt. Well, these Tech Lock adapters, as many of you guys out there may know, actually kind of like your belt kind of slips. Well, you slip your belt in through it, and then it kind of clasps around the belt.
Yep. I run them myself.
Yeah, you know who makes them then, right? I can't.
Blade Tech does.
Blade Tech. Why was this escaping me? I don't know, but yes,
it took me a minute too. That's okay.
Yeah, Blade Tech is awesome. They got some really cool stuff. So yeah, he uses Blade Tech attachments and stuff for his holsters. I mean, that's one option. He's got some other options and things like that, depending on what you're buying. Like one of the first products I actually bought, and this is how I came to know Matt over there at Aries Tactical, was during the first 3-gun. I only had a 20 gauge shotgun. It was the only thing I had, and I wanted to do 3-gun, and I had a pistol, and I had my AR and all that stuff, and so I was looking for something to carry the 20 gauge shot shells in because it's a pump action shotgun. So everything I was seeing was real expensive, like maybe like $70 or more, which is average, for 3-gun shot shell carriers, and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't nearly as many options for 20 gauge because it's not as popular as the 12 gauge.
Sure.
So he had a really neat little setup that's like a little carrier that you can just slide the shells down into. And I think the one I have holds maybe 6 of them. So I found that product that he made, that way just by looking for that, and came across it. And he saw my YouTube channel, and I did a little review on it. And he said, "Hey, let me give you a 12 gauge one to give away on your channel." So he gave me that, and I gave that away in a little raffle thing, just like we did the gift certificate today. And you know, later on, I said, well, I'd like to have him make me a holster at some point. And then I went down there and was visiting him because he was kind of near my family at the time. We were planning a little trip from where my brother and sister, I'm sorry, my sister and my brother-in-law live, to go down to the Bass Pro in Springfield, check that out. So I figured, yeah, he's pretty close. We'll stop by and visit him. So we did, and made a little video with Matt from Aries Tactical at that time, and had him make me the holster and stuff after that.
Very cool.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was a good time.
Awesome.
So, yeah, was there anything else you want to tell us about? Any other products or anything I mentioned?
Something. I mean, so a lot of excitement going on in the shop these days, right? Because we're obviously a new growing company, and we're literally growing 100 miles an hour every day. It just blows me away because there's more stuff going on. But today, you know, right along the topic of three-gun, we actually landed a dealership with Terran Tactical Innovations.
Awesome.
Don't know if you're familiar with them, or for those that aren't familiar with them.
Yeah, I have seen them, and I also just recently I was using a piece of equipment of theirs. When I went out to test out that chronograph that I was telling you about.
Yep.
That the guy I was shooting with that brought me that chronograph. You know, I have it on loan right now, which you guys will see a video on that pretty soon. He had the Terran Tactical floor plate for a PMag. I think he was running the 40-round PMag with that, and it's like a plus 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Plate. Pretty cool. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Great. And so we are now a dealer, direct dealer for Terran Tactical. We'll be carrying all their products. We'll be getting them, just secured that deal today, so we'll be getting them up on the website along with the other things that you see on there today. And yeah, I'll have to get a couple over to you to do some testing on. They don't have base pads for SIGs though, but I'm sorry.
No, I know that's no big deal. You know, it is what it is. But you know what? I actually do have +2 floor plates on my 18-round McGar mags already.
Nice.
They're actually McGar makes the +2 floor plate for them, and when you buy the TAC Ops model, it comes with the 20-round mags already set up with the floor plate. They're basically 18-rounders with the floor plate with them. And mine, when I bought it, I actually picked my 226 up used, and the guy I got it from had 4 of the 18-round mags with it, so I bought those floor plates and added them. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So definitely I appreciate that. Let me test out some products, you know, and you know, we'll do that in the future. And I know one of the things we talked about too is that PDW stock as well.
Yes, absolutely. So there's, and for those that don't know, PDW, personal defense weapon. So short, not the full mil spec like Magpul stock that you see. And I'll be getting you one to do a demo on and trial on. But
That's cool.
What's nice about this is there's LWRC and a few other companies make PDW stocks. The problem is you have to use a proprietary bolt carrier because the way they shorten up the buffer to make the stock shorter. So I've been, again, going back to the SBR, I wanted to put a PDW stock on my SBR. I didn't like the fact that I had that proprietary bolt carrier. Number one, I just didn't like the idea in general. Number two is I run currently 300 blackout, so obviously a standard 223 mil spec bolt carrier, and I also run a 9mm rubber in my SBR. So now I have 2 different bolt carriers, and LWRC doesn't make a proprietary 9mm bolt carrier for the PDW stock. So I got aligned with a company out of Florida. It's MVB Industries, and they call it their ARC PDW stock. It's ARC PDW stock, and it takes your existing mil-spec bolt carrier and will go on your existing AR. You replace your buffer tube with the stock, but we use your existing AR, and they provide you all the springs and everything in the kit that you need to do. It's a bit pricey. The list price on it is $399. We've got a special in the store right now for $375. And anybody on the show, if they're interested, just mention BigGunner81, and I'll take another $25 off on one of those PDW stocks. But it just, the quality is amazing. The workmanship, it's CNC machine right here in the U.S. down in Florida. It's really nice. In the past 2 weeks, I literally have sold over 30 of them. They're just flying off the shelf. Guys love them.
That's pretty awesome. Definitely. I saw that. I thought it was pretty cool. The first time I saw one of those style stocks, and I don't know if it was the same company that made it or not, was watching FPS Russia with the Advanced Armament Corporation Honey Badger.
Mm-hmm.
Seen that? It's like he was shooting like full auto with it, I believe. Very neat, especially when he was running 300 blackout, I believe, too, in that, and showing it, suppressed and all that stuff. And it was just how quiet that runs with 300 blackout. You almost hear more of the action cycling than you would actually hear the round, leaving the barrel or whatever.
Very true.
It's pretty neat. I like the 300 blackout. In fact, I do have a 300 blackout pistol as well. Kind of built one of those a while back too, and I know you. Speaking of that, with the pistols, in the SIG brace, I have a SIG brace on it. There's been a whole controversy about don't shoulder the SIG brace and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier about the paperwork with the tax stamp for like the SBR and all that, and how you should keep your paperwork with you. With the 6-hour stock, or not stock, with the in place, since some people might think it's a stock instead of a brace, they actually give you a little piece of paperwork, that shows the letter from the ATF that determines that this is a brace and not a stock.
Right.
We recommend keeping that on you, when you're shooting it, because that might come up as a question about it. And, at least there may be some evidence that might get you out of a jam if someone says, hey, no, that's a stock on there or whatever, or it might not, but at least it's better to at least have something than nothing.
It doesn't hurt. And speaking of that, if I may, so
Sure.
Another deal that we're working on is there's a company called Thordson Customs.
Yeah, I've heard that name before.
Okay, and Thordson is coming out with a pistol. They're calling it a pistol cheek rest. In my own term, well, I'll say in more generic terms, it's kind of like their version of a SIG brace.
Yeah, is it like where you can actually, it slips over your buffer tube or your pistol buffer tube?
It is.
And that's all it is. You can kind of rest your cheek on it instead of shouldering.
Correct. So, and it's much more economical than a SIG brace. It's about half the price.
Really?
And we are also in discussions, and I sent the paperwork today to become a dealer with Thordson Customs. So we'll be handling their products as well.
Very cool. Yeah, you're getting a lot of cool stuff in now. That's pretty awesome.
Well, that's kind of what my goal is. I mean, certainly we want to serve everybody, right? I mean, everybody's got different wants and desires, and there's pistol guys, and there's shotgun guys, and there's rifle guys, and then there's 3-gun guys like us. And so I want to serve all those markets, but I also personally like the little niche products. So that's why I'm kind of going out after those niche products as well. So I can have a pretty diverse offering to all my clientele.
Yeah, the stuff that people may not have, or I should say, the things that other companies might not have in stock usually.
You're not going to go to Cabela's or whoever and find it.
And if you have it and you're local, they don't have to wait for it either.
Exactly.
This is the shipping thing, which people don't always consider when they look at the price of things. Like, oh well, it's gonna, oh well, I have to pay sales tax. Well, you don't have shipping,
Right.
Or if they offer free shipping, their price might be higher, or this and that. Everybody kind of splits hairs with these things, and ultimately, it's just kind of nice to support a local business and go and pick up your item the same day, versus that whole process too.
And I like to hope that we offer customer service and we can offer maybe some information that somebody didn't know, or maybe we'll learn something from somebody else. It works both ways, right?
Right.
So
that's right. The computer can't talk back to you when you're looking to buy something, and they can't say, hey, you might want to buy this instead, or you might want to buy this at the same time,
right?
Because you're going to need this to make this work, and that kind of stuff. You don't get that kind of feedback, when you're dealing with the computer, So kind of like the commercial when they talk about the, your if you ever saw it, there's one about the taxes, like, oh, well, ask the box the problem,
Mm-hmm.
Where you can't ask your computer the problem unless there's someone actually there, with a chat window or something like that. And even then, it's not the same person. But that's pretty cool. So, yeah, I appreciate you being on the show. If there's anything else you want to throw in there, we'll do that real quick. Or
No, just we got Practical Rifle coming up on Saturday. I don't know if there's any slots open yet for anybody that may want to join in.
Yeah, I'm not going to make it out this weekend. I really want to, but I can't, unfortunately. But I will probably do the next one for sure. But yeah, there's open slots for that. And again, thank you for being on the show, and anyone out there, go ahead and check out BAT Arms. The website is what, batarms.com, correct?
Yes, sir. You got it.
And you can check them out on Facebook as well at bat.arms. I think that's how you have to type it in too to find it, because I think I typed in bat and space arms and it didn't pull it up. So you got to put bat.arms.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
I think that happened to me. I may be wrong, but anyway. So yeah, thank you again, and thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time. And congratulations again to Ronnie Hughes.
Go Ronnie.
Our winner. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks.
And have fun shooting.